His mental activity is very high, but doesn't seem pathologic, Jim. Respiratory activity indicates a high degree of anxiety by comparison with others of his race. Now, that much stress is unhealthy if this is a chronic state. That slight headache is really nothing. I just need a little rest when I have time. He's under slight stress, but otherwise in good health. What do you expect of someone with that green excuse for blood in his veins? A shining example of perfect health.
Go away! You're breathing on my table.
I'm Captain James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. What's going on here? Who's in charge?
Nobody's really in charge. Maybe the phase. That's one of the things that makes me so nervous. Nobody's really in charge. I try to take charge of little things like making sure the lights work. I don't like the dark. Are you gonna be in charge now? Maybe you should talk to the phase first.
The phase? What's the phase? Why don't you just tell me what's going on here? If you need help, the Federation has many resources. Would you tell me about this ship? Why are you going to land in a town on Atavus? Why didn't you respond to our hail? The phase? What's the phase?
We contemplate our phase. Some of our people think they're the ones who keep everything going. Sometimes they tell us things to do. They remind some people when to eat. Otherwise, they'd forget. I don't forget, but that's because I'm smart. If you want to, you can probably talk to the phase in the oratory. The builders built the oratory. The room there to the south, they built the garden north. If you're hungry or if your head ain't feeling right, there's food and such in the hall. Through there, the west door. The rest hall is through the east door, but you might have to wait for one of the beds. The builders were just so logical. They thought of everything. You can go anywhere.
You know, Jim, I don't think there's much more he can tell us. I can take a tricorder reading on him if you think it's appropriate.
Go away! You'll get it dirty. I can't stand a dirty table.
His mental activity is very high, but doesn't seem pathologic, Jim. Respiratory activity indicates a high degree of anxiety by comparison with others of his race. Now, that much stress is unhealthy if this is a chronic state.
I'm Captain James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. What's going on here? Who's in charge?
Nobody's really in charge. Maybe the phase. That's one of the things that makes me so nervous. Nobody's really in charge. I try to take charge of little things like making sure the lights work. I don't like the dark. Are you gonna be in charge now? Maybe you should talk to the phase first.
The phase? What's the phase? Why don't you just tell me what's going on here? If you need help, the Federation has many resources.
We've been doing fine for 1,000 generations, Captain, maybe more. We're happy here, just waiting for the ship to return to the builders. that's the promised time when we come home. We don't need any help.
Who are the builders? Let's get back to the main subject. Maybe you can tell me about your people. Who are the builders?
The builders are the builders, of course. Us, but a long time ago. The phase can explain it better. I get confused sometimes. The builders built the oratory. The room there to the south, they built the garden north.
You know, Jim, I don't think there's much...
I'm Captain James T. Kirk of the...
Nobody's really in charge. Maybe...
Phase? Why don't you just... Would you tell me about this ship? Why are you going to land in a town on Atavus? Why didn't you respond to our hail?
We're going to land? Has the promised time come? I have to think about this. Please don't bother me anymore.
Captain Kirk is not impressed with the housekeeping skills of the people living in this room. A youngster is sitting alone, quietly playing. The alert lieutenant thinks those living here have made at least half-hearted attempts to put their personal stamp on their living space. Difficult, starting from institutionalized beginnings. The wise-looking Vulcan raises an eyebrow. Captain Kirk is not impressed. Bones thinks the youngster probably needs to get out more. Captain Kirk is not impressed.
A sleeper ship. Is there a more primitive way to achieve star travel?
There are generation ships, Captain. Although I hesitate to engage in speculation, these people might have been the descendants of the original passengers, not the passengers themselves.
Given what I've seen, Spock, I don't think they'd survive as a generation ship. I'm surprised they've survived as long as they have.
An astute observation, Doctor. I am impressed.
As much as I hate to break up this newly formed Mutual Admiration Society, we have work to do.
I think the youngster looks a little wan, either from lack of the right foods or insufficient exercise, and there don't seem to be others his age he could pal around with.
I believe this room shows that this was in fact a sleeper ship, Captain. Notice the beds. They appear to be in general use now, but show every evidence of being cryo-sleep pods initially.
As institutionalized as this room appears, Captain, you can see people have done a few things to make it more their own. I wouldn't be surprised if people stash trinkets away, things that have use and meaning to no one but them. Then again, I am definitely not going to suggest we go looking. Some of these beds don't appear to have been changed in longer than I want to think about. However, if someone wants to show us one of their little treasure boxes, I'll bet it's been well hidden.
Hi there, I'm Captain James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. Who are you?
I'm Stan Bob. Did my mom say I could talk to you?
Why, yes, she did. What can you tell us about things going on here? No, not exactly. We'd like to know what you can tell us about things going on here, though. I don't know that we've seen your mother. Still, if you can tell us something about what's going on here, we would appreciate knowing it. Why, yes, she did. What can you tell us about things going on here?
I don't think my mom would want me to talk to you. Please go away and stop bothering me. I don't think I should talk to you.
Captain Kirk is not impressed with the housekeeping skills of the people living in this room. Captain Kirk is...
Get back! I don't recognize you, you strangers! Rackaback, Gormagon, you recognize these people?
No, Tuscan, we sure don't.
Keep them away. Keep them away from me. They'll hurt us. They're out to get us, I tell you. Have I ever been wrong?
No, Tuscan, you kept us safe, and we keep you safe. We won't let them get you.
You people don't want to come any closer. Honest, I don't want to have to hurt any of you. It's just that Tuscan won't like it. I hope you don't mind, but you really have got to stay back.
Protect me. They're after me.
We'll hurt you, so just stay back.
We really don't want to hurt you, you know, but you gotta stay back.
The tricorder informs me that the Klingon boarding crew has just beamed into the adjacent room, Captain.
You are Kirk. I am Kla, captain of the Paul-Ya. This is my aide.
These Klingons are so innovative in their introductions.
Shh! I'm Captain James T. Kirk, commanding the USS Enterprise. These are my crew, Science Officer Spock, Lieutenant Uhura, and Dr. McCoy. What can I do for you, Captain Clark?
You can avoid interfering with me or my man as we look around the ship, the same as you. And with the same air of mutual goodwill, we will avoid interfering with your activities.
unless we have cause to think your actions in some way threaten us or the Empire we represent.
We do not threaten the Klingon Empire, Captain Klar, nor its legitimate representatives.
Then there will be no difficulties between us, will there? We will leave you to your investigations now and carry on our own. You won't mind if we're in the room, will you?
We'd consider it a mark of our mutual respect, Captain, if you don't get in our way and we won't get in yours.
Tusken is a rather mangy-looking individual of middle age. His hair is wildly disordered and his eyes wide and wary. He seems skittish and likely to burst into flight or fight mode at the smallest incentive. Gormagon is a large person with a slightly cowed and uneasy expression. He bears a strong familial resemblance to Rakabak, but gives the impression of somewhat more intelligence. Rakabak is a large individual with a somewhat dull-minded expression, but wary and distrustful. He bears a strong familial resemblance to Gormagon, who is standing close by. The captain seems most concerned with watching all the individuals in this room to be prepared for how they might react. Mr. Spock raises an eyebrow upon seeing this room is equipped with a 3D chess set, but quickly draws his attention back to matters at hand.
You like chess? Any good? Jakesy's a whiz at it, even though he's pretty slow about everything else. My brother Rakabak took away his stuffed bear. Jakesy won't come in here to play no more. This is my greatest game ever. I'll give you the bear if you can beat me.
Yeah, you can have the dumb bear if you beat my brother at chess, and if you don't cheat.
Dr. McCoy thinks that this room doesn't look like a very good place to kick back and relax, especially under the present circumstances.